So a few months ago, I was at the Apple store, and as I told you in the first video, a lot of times I'm in a wheelchair, and increasingly more because my mobility has been rapidly declining. So I went into the Apple store in my wheelchair, and it's always pretty crowded there most of the time, so there was probably over 80 people in this store. So I'm trying to push my way through to get back to someone who can fix my computer, and I had to wait a little while. So as I was waiting, I tried to keep myself occupied, and that only lasted so long. So then I started people watching, because that's always fun. I started looking around the room, and there were kids there that were like ages 4 to people that were over 85. And they all had one thing in common, and I realized it real fast. They could all stand. They could all walk. I can't do that. I walk a little bit, and most of the time I collapse. I started comparing myself to these people that I don't know. And later, I realized when I left the store, I was like, I can't do that. That is such a dangerous trap to get into. You can just get into this dark hole if you're comparing yourself to people all the time. You don't want to get into the sin of envy. With chronic illness, it is so easy to compare yourself to other people. But even with someone that does not have a chronic illness, you compare yourself, right? You look at someone, oh, they have a better job, they make more money, they have a nicer house, they have better behaved children, they drive a nicer car. You can always find someone in a better situation, but you don't know their story. You're not in the same circumstances as they are. And God has a different plan for your life. There's a Bible verse, and it's in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12. And it says, "Not that we dare to classify or compare ourselves with some of those who are commending themselves, but when they measure themselves by one another and compare themselves with one another, they are without understanding." So there's an ignorance there. So the thing is, you gotta stop comparing yourself to other people. God has a plan for your circumstances if you would let Him. I read a quote, and it says, "The only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday." So you might not be able to change your circumstances, but you can change how you look at them, how you talk about your circumstances, your situation, your attitude. And I encourage you to stop comparing yourself to other people, because that is such a dangerous trap to fall in. I want you to remember, God cares about your pain, and so do I.